What is up, truth and transparency? I want to say, first of all, sorry for the delay.
A jury in Beaver County handed down a guilty verdict today in the trial of Sheldon Jeter Jr. Jeter, convicted of shooting and killing his friend Tyreek Pugh last year. Nicole Ford is live with reaction from lawyers on both sides. Nicole.
Ken, there's no question from both the defense and state that there was an overwhelming amount of evidence in this case. Well, it wasn't clear following closing arguments which way the jury would go. This afternoon, they convicted Sheldon Jeter Jr. for first-degree murder. Nearly 2 weeks after Sheldon Jeter Jr. first entered this courtroom, he's now leaving convicted of murder.
He thanked us for our work, and we'll have an opportunity to talk to him later.
While defense attorney Michael Santacola doesn't know what the 23-year-old is thinking, he exclusively tells KDKA he's surprised by the verdict.
If you watch the closings and you watch some of the presentation of the evidence, some of the cross-examination, I think there was reason to pause. Obviously, the jury was not unanimous in the beginning of their deliberations, so somebody was thinking not guilty or something other, and they were convinced otherwise.
But Santacola tells me he wouldn't change anything. He believes the defense put up the best case possible. And the Beaver County District Attorney David Lozier says the same for his team.
You never know what a jury is going to do. A jury is a black box that you pour information into, and depends on the life experience of those 12 jurors. So you never really know what they think is going to be significant. So you're always surprised when a jury can reach a verdict on a complex case in just about 7 hours.
That verdict was met with mixed emotions from the families, tears from Jeter Jr.'s side, and gasps of relief from Tyreek Pugh's family. Lozier says they may never know why Jeter shot Pugh, but now they have some justice.
I believe Sheldon Jeter has a flash temper. I think that might have been what happened in this case. We've seen other incidents in the past. There were 1 or 2 incidents in the courtroom. I think we saw his flash temper surface and then go away very quickly. Aliquippa was very concerned about him being on the streets, and now he's not.
There is an opportunity for appeals in this case. Santacola believes attorneys will take a look back at the jurors to see if they had any prior knowledge of Jeter Jr. because he has made a number of headlines in connection to another case, the Rachel Del Tondo murder. Now, as for what's next, that will be sentencing, which will happen on July 21st. Reporting live in Beaver tonight, Nicole Ford, KDKA News.
All right, guys, this was June 2021, June 23rd, when the verdict came out that Sheldon Jeter Jr. was found guilty of first-degree murder. I was in the courtroom on numerous occasions, and it was hard to hear that the jury came back with that type of a verdict. But it was, I think, more disheartening to see that the defense didn't put up a defense. This was the first case that Fight for a Family. People can think that the first case that we took on was Chris Watts. No. We helped Chris Watts's family obtain a lawyer for their son, and that we were going to make sure that the family got all the information that they wanted about their grandchildren. And that literally lasted, I think, all of 15 days, maybe not even. But in the building of doing Fight for a Family, I was already researching and beginning to look elsewhere for the concept of Fight for a Family, which was to help families that maybe were less fortunate, maybe needed some guidance, maybe needed some advocating. And in January 20th, 2021, a woman by the name of Stephanie Koch, she wrote me and said, you really need to help a young man by the name of Sheldon Jeter Jr. And you really need to help my hometown because it is damaged. Again, that was January 20th, 2021. Fight for a Family started up in March 2nd. Officially, that's when the documents, but it began building and everything like that in February. March 2nd of 2021. Began meeting with the family of Sheldon Jeter Jr. at the end of March, April, May. We're with them throughout the trial in June. And then had to hear this verdict of guilty. Okay. I was taken back by the lack of information and work ethic and just everything that you would think that a defense would mount when you're defending somebody against murder and their life is on the line. What I witnessed, that was my first time sitting in on a murder trial. I sat with the family, and a local blogger wrote about it. A local blogger from that town wrote about me sitting with the family. Like he has the right to say who the family can or can't have sit with them. But that's when I got the first taste of Beaver County and the type of reporting that would go on. I was reported as a conspiracy theorist from YouTube that was sitting with the family. So this again was the verdict, June 23rd, 2021. The same time that the trial was going on, because I was there, one of the family members of the Jeter family, who I got to know a lot of the family, and they've been amazing towards me. They've been so grateful. They've been welcoming. I earned their trust. No offense, but some 5'5" white girl that's gonna just say, "Hey, I want to come help your grandson or your nephew or your son," and they're like, "Who the hell are you?" But I researched his case. I researched the Rachel Del Tondo case that was previous of this, and I saw some things that I thought that were red flags right off the rip, and wanted to help the family. And I'm thankful that I was there. I was driving back and forth all over to just be there. I had to get up early in the morning to drive back and do work where I'm from. But at the end of the day, a family member had said, "Oh, look at that's so-and-so. Oh my God, I went to grade school with her. Oh my gosh, that's Rachel Del Tondo's neighbor." I said, "Wait, what? One of the jurors is Rachel Del Tondo? What are you talking about?" I couldn't believe my own ears. I said, what are you talking about? Rachel Del Tondo's neighbor? Like her neighbor? Like, because some people could just be like, "Oh, well, I guess like they live down the street." No, her neighbor. Her next door neighbor. I said, wait, Rachel Del Tondo's neighbor for many, many years. Grew up, same street, she's on the juror. She's on the jury. She's one of the jurors. Wait, what are you talking about? Yeah. And, oh, I think that she's married to one of our family members, distant. I said, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I didn't believe it. Well, I researched it. So if I wasn't in that courtroom, if I wasn't around the family, I would have never heard these statements. Okay. And then I, obviously talked more to this family member about it just to make sure. I was like, listen. She's like, oh, girl, no, I know her. Like, we went to school. Like, I know this person. Like, I'm going to go look. I'm telling you, I have pictures together. I know. And so all of a sudden I get sent all these pictures of, here's the juror, here's her husband, and then here's the judge marrying the juror just a couple years previous. The judge that was residing over this case, Judge Tesla, married juror number 3. And juror number 3 is the neighbor of Rachel Del Tondo, who Rachel was shot in the back, sprayed 9 times, laying out in front of her driveway on Mother's Day. And the neighbors allegedly, which included the husband, allegedly saw the body and had PTSD about it, and is an estranged husband now to the juror. And basically, on and on and on. But I said, no, I cannot believe this. Like, what's going on during voir dire? What questions were asked? How is this happening? But I don't just believe, what someone says. I'll even double check it, just because she has proof that she's showing me pictures. Are you sure that this woman lives next door? Lo and behold, on different occasions, I think the world of the Del Tondo family, Lisa and Joe. I think that they, I feel for them like you wouldn't believe. Different occasions I've talked to Lisa and Joe, and would you believe it, that there it is, juror number 3, parking her car, walking into the house next door to the Del Tondos. And I said, this, you got to be kidding me. So I was able to, I was there. I witnessed it. So immediately, who I am, I can just record whatever I want. I'm on a public street, and I see this happening, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me right now. I had talked to Lisa and Joe a couple different times. I was over there, and there it was, juror number 3 getting out of her vehicle and going into her home. And I was like, this is wild, it made my stomach hurt in a way, because I felt like, Rachel Del Tondo lived on Buchanan Street. So when you're sending out these summons to people to come to jury duty and you guys have to decide on people, the address was Buchanan Street. The address is Buchanan Street. And it's like, that Rachel Del Tondo was murdered on Buchanan Street. So when you send something, or will they charge you with stalking the juror? It's a slippery slope. You think so? Oh, you're crazy. You're nuts. What's amazing is that you're that vested in it. The best part about it is that why was it be a problem? According to they sent out these summons, like, okay, Buchanan Street, you don't know that Rachel Del Tondo lived. I mean, that was national headline news. CNN, Rachel Del Tondo, gunned down Mother's Day. I mean, it was all over everything. 48 hours, all the local stuff. So end of the day, get this information and you turn it over, you know. And not only did I turn over what I knew, I gave it to the family. You know, this is wild. Like, what's going on here? Like, not to mention the type of defense that Sheldon received, which was zero. But how does this happen? And Sheldon had no, black jurors. There was no ethnicity on his panel, and except for, I guess, like you could say, juror number 3. She was the only person that had any type of background other than just white. So yeah, so this was breaking as the verdict was coming out. And so this is the first case that Fight for a Family was a part of, that went all the way through a regular first trial. And then here you go, post-conviction immediately. And this is actually a case that Fight for a Family and myself has faced numerous language that's defamation across the board. So it's crazy. It was crazy. But this is Fight for a Family. They went all the way through and then still had to fight because Sheldon did his appeal, right away to the trial judge, Judge Tesla, and argued the points of a mistrial because of who the juror was, and that people had to fill out affidavits, so which did not include me. It included courtroom conduct. The bailiff was sleeping, jurors were sleeping, jurors were talking to each other during the proceeding. It was a free for all in there. It was crazy. It was a free for all. And then the big thing is that you have people talking about the Rachel Deltano case that's in the audience watching. Jurors are all spread out because of COVID still, and they're able to just hear everything that anybody, I guess you could say, that was sitting in there could hear. There's a couple different outbursts, but there was never a sign of Sheldon with these flash tempers or whatever the heck the DA is talking about in this interview. Is just mind blowing. So all of these people fill out affidavits, in terms of this should be, at the very least, Sheldon deserves an evidentiary hearing to then take all the affidavits and, have these people go ahead and you have your evidentiary hearing. Well, the Judge Tesla on the day of sentencing heard the motions and went through a formality and denied, everything, said, no. And, went on with the sentencing and sentenced Sheldon for life in, prison without the possibility of parole. And I just had never been in a courtroom to hear anybody ever say that before. And, to hear that, and it was really, it was surreal. It was just, you're just there and you're, boom, 12 people decided, one man's fate, right? But how did they decide it, and who really decided it, and what evidence did they truly decide this off of? So after that point, then it went into Sheldon and his family getting a different lawyer to go through the appeals process. And the family said, because I told them, I said, you need to pick somebody that's good and somebody that is not part of this corruption that I believe is plagued in Beaver County. Based off of my research, I think that Corey Woods is the best. He's all business. He doesn't even do interviews. I think it's great. But just he's smart. He knows the law. He knows his stuff. And that's what you need. You need somebody to argue and litigate on your behalf and advocate for you for your rights. And so the family went ahead and got Corey Woods. Okay. And there was then, what was it? September, I can't remember what was the date. It was in the middle or end of towards September of 2022 that Corey went in front of the appellate court over down in Pittsburgh. And he argued the different points. The prosecution was there. And I think it was the assistant district attorney, one of them. Not even the main guy, but they were, obviously litigating their points back and forth. And so that happened at the beginning or middle of September of 2022. So we were expecting to hear something back actually before the holidays were over or right after. Literally just a couple months after that is when the Idaho 4 tragedy happened. And then now you got to fast forward all the way into yesterday. Yesterday is when we got the word. We got the news that it was looking good when they're taking that long to rule. So, because I kept saying, I'm like, geez, what is going on, man? We were expecting something before the holidays or right after the holidays, January, February, March, April, May, we were here at the beginning of June, and out of the blue, you get that phone call, and it's like, Sheldon won, Corey won. I'm like, what? They ruled. Sheldon's getting his evidentiary hearing. They ruled that Judge Tesla erred, and I said, oh my God. It was emotional to hear that. And Sheldon won his direct appeal. He won the direct appeal that he appealed to the Superior Court with the appeals process. And Judge Tesla, when he ruled and did not give Sheldon an evidentiary hearing, okay, he was supposed to. And there's other things that were argued and litigated. And I think some of those motions are going on now to the Supreme Court. But the big portion of it, which was the juror misconduct, okay, that now was sent back. And now Sheldon is getting his evidentiary hearing to bring all of the points about the juror, because there was a lot of things there. The juror had talked to her father and asked her father to pray with her on which way she should go with the verdict, how she should render her verdict, guilty or not guilty. And one of the main arguments was that you brought God and a parent as a 13th juror. And that's not what, it's one thing, at nighttime when you go to bed and you say your prayers and you ask God to look over you and your family and, guide you. That's one thing. But it's a completely different thing when you're not supposed to be talking to anybody about any of this when you're a juror. And come to find out, then, like I said, the neighbor is the juror is Rachel Altondo's neighbor. And what questions were asked during voir dire, was there dishonesty? That's all going to start coming out. And so everybody out there that has made it such an uphill battle with the defamation, with speaking of stuff that you have no idea what you're speaking about, shame on you. Researching into things, being in Aliquippa. Aliquippa became like a second home to me. Sheldon's family. I respect them. I love the show of the whole damn crew. But you come to realize that you take things for granted that you shouldn't. And all the the systematic, a lot of social injustices that are going on, and a Black man being born and raised in Aliquippa, you're already, because you're a young Black man, and you already have so many hurdles that you have to overcome just because of that. And then all these kids were growing up as like really close friends and like family and like brothers. And then you hear about them, allegedly killing each other, and it just doesn't make sense. And there's no motive. And you have best friends that are growing up like family, and their kids are all playing together. And then one day you find out that one of the kids kills the other kid. Like, how is that possible? And I just don't believe that it is possible. I believe that a lot of fingers are being pointed and people are being set up for stuff that they didn't do. I don't know why, but the evidence is not really there. And the stories that are being pumped out by mainstream media come from local people that are one-sided. And that began with the Rachel Del Tondo case. And even I think in the Naim case. But ever since being in Aliquippa, I've been advocating for, a couple different individuals. And yesterday was just like, wow, like, Fight for a Family works. People can truly come together and put their strengths towards something that could save somebody's life. And that's what that's what the whole motto was. And there's people that Mod Squad, Boston, Maple Beef, Bella, New Orleans Lady, Hot Ham Radio. I mean, I was doing lives with 12 people because of all the defamation. Fight for a Family had, people that signed up to be part of it and then immediately pulled out because of all the defamation from the Checkmate Humanities of the world, from the Unmasks of the world. All these people that are jealous of what we were set out to do, and that for whatever reason, they didn't want to be a part of it, or they weren't asked to be a part of it. And that's just because of how they carried themselves and the stuff that the fuckerage that they were in. But how you could ever lie about somebody that you don't know who this person is, how you could ever try to interfere with somebody's freedom and attacking me and trying to mess with Sheldon. Sheldon's an innocent human being here, but you don't care if you're going to try to mess with his freedom. So you're going to try to take down Fight for a Family, lie about Fight for a Family, lie about me in order to what? Try to say that, oh, yeah, see, I was right about Lana. Well, you weren't right about Lana. You're never going to be right about Lana because I'm not who you say I am. And Corey brought all the case law. I think it's a lot easier to advocate for somebody that you truly believe in their innocence, and he's innocent. Mic dropping. But all you other people out there that claim to be a home team only to try to set up me to fail in some way or lie about anything that I've ever done, try to like manipulate evidence or turn over something because you illegally obtained my chats with friends or volunteers. Guess what? Fight for a family. It works. Sheldon Jeter Jr. Nobody knows about Sheldon. You just sit your asses on a couch behind a screen. But fight for a family. It works. Check it out.
Juror, Pennsylvania State Police, badge number 12433, Saturday, May 16th, 2020.
Trooper Thomas, badge number 10847. Today's date, May 16th, 2020. Time is 0124 hours and 124 a.m.
Welcome to Sunset Secrets Season 3, Advocating in Aliquippa.
Brandon, like I said before we started the recording, I'm just going to kind of ask you where you were coming from when you were driving up. What's the street?
Friday night about
I actually don't know the name of the street.
Facebook.
So, for lack of better terms, we'll say driving up
Did
the
he give
hill
you any
from
indication
the
anything
street
was
right
wrong
off
or
of
anything like that?
No.
So, where were you coming from?
I was actually coming from Rochester. I started from my address, which is the current address on my license. I'm staying with my parents.
What address is that?
853 Reno Street,
Okay.
Rochester, PA.
So, why were you coming to Aliquippa over this location?
Because I was actually going to go and chill, hang out, whatever you want to call it, with my buddies over there. The one is Preston. He's in the purple car, and the other one standing outside the police line is Gene. That's his father.
Okay. So, Preston and Gene live over here?
Yes.
Okay.
They live, it's 103.
Were you at home?
Yes.
Okay. So, kind of walk me through what happens.
Okay. Now, my son and I just got back from Sharon, PA.
Okay.
About 11:30. And my wife had eaten dinner, got in her shower, and was going to bed.
Okay.
My son and I stepped out on the porch, and it was, ballpark figure around midnight. And we heard multiple shots. I mean, it sounded like about 10 of them.
51, and then right up here. I
Could
came
you
around the bend.
could you sense like what
I didn't know
direction
the
they were
time,
coming
but
from,
when they asked
or
me, I was thinking in my head it had to be between 11:35 and 11:40. Well, turns out I called police at 11:39.
11:39. Okay.
And
Was there anybody else at the scene whenever you got here? When you were coming up the street, did you see anybody walking away? Did you pass any other cars?
no,
Okay.
no, there was nobody. I just expected to come like every other night, come right around the bend, or go up and go home. That's it. You know.
Okay.
It very much surprised me to see somebody laying in the road. And, what did he do? I thought, well, maybe it's wet. He could have slipped and hit his head. He could have been drunk, or he might have got hit by a car. I couldn't tell, but I have this little flashlight I take out of my pocket. And I said, oh, shucks, he's bleeding, you know. But when I looked closer, it's like blood was running out of his ear. I tapped on a leg like that, you know. So I immediately called.
Okay.
I had to call him. I called.
Take a look underneath that cop car right there. See how it's dry underneath it? See how it's dry underneath that cop car? You guys see that right there? That means that cop car was there before it started raining. You see that? Chef's kiss. Right here. Look underneath that cop car. Thank you so much, Lana. Please never stop fighting for families and victims. You have heart and soul. I'm proud to support you in your invaluable work. It's me. I thought I was going to say it's me, Timothy. You guys see that right there? You guys see that? How it is dry underneath that car? It is dry, isn't it? You just remember that. Me.
Apparently, Aliquippa.
Do you see it's dry right there? There was a van parked there. The 911 caller's van was parked there. One of the Aliquippa officers moved the van out of the crime scene, got into his vehicle, and moved it himself. The same guy that would get into Sheldon Jeter Jr.'s SUV and drive his SUV away after the family was like, yeah, you can take the vehicle. We have nothing to hide. Here you go. And then that comes back positive for a little speckle of gunpowder residue, but yet Sheldon's hands were clean. And let this sink in. The Aliquippa officer that moved the 911 caller's van out of the way right there, okay, is the same person that got into Sheldon Jeter Jr.'s car, the SUV that he had. Fucking crazy. And this, do you think the defense talked about this? No, they didn't even open up the discovery. They didn't do shit. They didn't advocate for Sheldon Jeter Jr. Sheldon didn't have a chance.
Down here, within about 30 seconds of getting out of my van.
Okay. So, I mean, basically, where your van's parked at right now, just past the body, is that where you stopped at? Did you move the car at all after?
They did, yeah. They moved it up.
Who did?
When I came in, my lights hit him. As soon as that hit him, I went across the enough in case traffic came down the hill so nobody could run them over.
And who moved the vehicle?
One of the officers down there.
Okay.
They asked me if they could. I said, sure.
All right. So you see the body, pull your car into the middle of the road, you get out, you went over, you said you nudged his leg to see if he'd wake up?
Well, I said, oh, no, this is bad. I go, what? So he wasn't moving. He wasn't saying anything. And I walked beyond, and I just tapped him on his right leg like that. And I hadn't even noticed all the blood on the road. I thought that was just like water.
Okay.
Well, I shine a light on it. I go, oh, no, it was thick.
Yeah.
So when I called, I said, I really think he's dead, to be honest with you, because it's just too much damage.
Yeah. And while you were down there, other than his leg, did you touch anything else?
No.
Did you move any of his clothing? Nothing like that?
Nothing.
Okay. And it looks like there might be a cell phone next to the body. You didn't touch that at all?
No. I saw that.
That's where it was sitting at?
It was laying just like that, face down in the river there of blood.
All right. And how long do you think it was until the other gentleman showed up here?
I would have to say, after I called the police, he showed up probably. The car came around the bend about 30 seconds after I hung up with the police. Okay. It was a very short call. And as I was waiting for somebody to come, they said they wouldn't be long. And this car came around, and I was fagging my light at him so he wouldn't maybe try to get around my van.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, we know about it. Because the other guy said he drove up the hill to his friends and then he said, we got to go back to see if he's dead,
Take a look here. That's the other witness's car that was there before the cops got there. Zoom in on that. It is wet underneath that car. It is wet underneath this car that got there. This SUV allegedly got there before the cops, okay? It should be dry underneath there if that's the case. It should not be wet. It is wet. There is no dryness underneath that witness vehicle right there. There are two vehicles that were there before the cops. That means the van should be dry underneath, and so should this vehicle. Took me quite a long time to figure it all out, but I did.
Because he thought the guy was dead.
Okay.
Guy laying on the road. I did not. I thought he got hit by a car.
Gotcha. And who was the one that was saying that to you, that he already went past it once?
The one that already went past it is a red-bearded.
The red-bearded one. Okay. So that's his vehicle, as far as you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he said it was. He said it was. I didn't realize. I thought when he said he ran up the hill, I thought he was on foot.
Okay.
But no, that was his car. He just shot up the hill for, I guess he needed more eyes or something. Maybe he was scared of the dark. I have no idea.
Okay. But he basically just said that he saw it, ran up there, got his buddies, and they came back. So all three of them showed back up.
Yes, because when I was trying to slow them down, make sure they didn't run him over, they said, "Nah, we already know. He told us."
Okay. And when they got on scene, did they touch anything? Did they check the body? No, they never got close to it at all.
They did not.
Okay.
Because where I was standing when I stopped them, that's as far as they went.
Okay.
And I was uphill from the body too.
Did anybody else show up other than paramedics and the firefighters, anything like that? Nobody else that you saw?
No. And they got here right quick. I don't think it was as many as 2 minutes. 2 full minutes.
Again, this is a really good look at it. You can see right here, it is dry it's dry over where the van was before it was moved. And if you look underneath the maroon vehicle, it is all wet. It's all dark pavement. There is no light pavement. It should be light like how it is over here to the bottom of your left of your screen. That's where the van was parked to block. Okay, the van was parked kind of like he said, slanted, as he said, or whatever the hell he said. That's why this has that light discolored look in the pavement over here to the left of your screen. Well, underneath the maroon vehicle, okay, it should be completely light like how it was under the cop car. Behind the maroon vehicle, you can see the tape is up, okay? Why would you you left the maroon vehicle inside the tape. Why would you take the van, this alleged van that was the 911 callers that just came up to park like that? Why would you take that up out of the crime scene? Is it because you couldn't have it be photographed within the crime scene? Could that van not be photographed? Would it not match the same van that was seen maybe on the two cousins camera? You see that?
They were probably up here.
Okay. And have you ever seen him before, the victim?
No, I don't believe I ever have.
Okay. How long do you think you've been down in the area?
I think I've been on the street for close to 5 years.
Okay.
Maybe 4 years anyways.
So you work at the airport and then just drive back on the weekends?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I started out, yeah. Well, since I came here, that it's all driving because flights weren't easy. I used to fly back and forth,
Okay.
and keep a car each place. Finally, after renting once, I said, no, I could buy a house here for $7,000, so I did.
There you go. Is there anything else that you think would be pertinent to the investigation? Anything I should know? Anything I may not have asked?
No, it's just that I was sad. It's a quiet neighborhood. I thought it was quiet, anyways.
Yeah.
You can hear a pin drop. I mean, in the summertime, kids walk around the block, but I'm on Jones Street, So I just figured, because there was a guy, his name was Bill, and Bill used to walk up the hill, and I'd always coming around here at 11:30ish. Bill, you want to ride? Because he's coming from one of the bars or something.
Okay.
Very pleasant man. He passed away some years ago. Would he jump in? I'd give him a ride to his.
So what I'm about to show you is that the 911 call said that everything's geo traced. Like when you call 911, they can geolocate, trace your call. And it did not geo trace to standing over the body. It geolocated to 6 or 7 miles away. And people can argue and try to say that, oh, it's because, well, that's just the tower that it hit off. So it's just like going off of the tower. If that's what this 911 department uses, last time I looked what geo trace locate meant, and that's GPS. It's GPS. So I'm going to show you how far it is.
His house,
Yeah.
I thought this was one of them,
Yeah.
They just going up the hill. But I mean, the other guy was my neighbor. I knew him, And
I mean, obviously, you're driving this road pretty often at the same time every night. Have you ever seen anybody else consistently other than Bill?
No, but there's seasonally in the summer, it's not uncommon to see somebody walking up and down this hill around after dark, say 10:30, 11. But I'm a first shift guy, but on Fridays I work an extra shift for another guy who wants off, I make the extra money.
Yeah.
So on Friday I come up later, and I wasn't surprised to see.
Again, the 911 caller thinks the victim was hit by a car. He wouldn't have thought this if he was standing over the body while calling 911. I guess this is why the trace on the call makes sense. It traced back to Baden, Pennsylvania, not Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. Everyone can see the gunshot wounds in the head of the victim, except for the guy that took the flashlight out of his pocket and was standing over the body who called 911. The 911 call was premature to frame Sheldon Jeter Jr., in my opinion. Again, the 911 call was premature to frame Sheldon Jeter Jr.
Somebody walking, perhaps. I was surprised to see somebody laying down.
Okay.
And my first thought was, the son of a gun's probably drunk and he's sleeping on the road. And I thought, well, I knew he was damaged. I go, he must have got hit by a car.
Welcome to Season 3, Sunset Secrets. During this season, the investigation of the homicide of Tyreek Pugh will be on full display, pointing out the errors, pointing out the discrepancies, and most of all, bringing to light all the evidence that would have easily proven to be and provide jury members with a reasonable doubt as to the innocence or guilt of Sheldon Jeter Jr. when it came to the murder of Tyreek Pugh. The state provided no motive for Sheldon Jeter Jr. to kill a long-time acquaintance and quote-unquote family member of the Moreland household of Sheldon Jeter Jr. when it came to the murder of Tyreek Pugh. The state provided no motive for Sheldon Jeter Jr. to kill a long-time acquaintance and quote-unquote family. Here's the picture of Judge Tesla. That's Judge Tesla with the juror. We blurred her out. And her husband. He married the juror and her husband. That's the photo that I provided. There it is. Judge Tesla with the juror, with her husband, just a couple years before this trial. And that juror is the neighbor of Rachel Del Tondo. Member of the Moreland household. Season 1 followed the actual trial in 2021. Season 2 went back to 2001 and talked about the Jamie Brown case and showing similarities with investigations being derailed and purposefully led in a different direction. Season 3 now will show the state's case and how they went about investigating, or lack thereof, of leads with witnesses, contradicting statements,
when I found
the crime
out
scene,
there's a neighbor. Now you said
search
something about a
warrants,
jury. What were you talking about? The jury that lives by
questionable
Del
photos,
Tondo that was just
and most importantly, the vehicle that Sheldon Jeter Jr. was driving that evening, as well as surveillance cameras and the authenticity of time stamps on those surveillance cameras. Everything surrounding Tyreek Pugh's homicide relies. Here we go. You guys are all enamored with the Brian Kohlberger case. Here we go. What car is that? What kind of car is that out there? What is that? What car is that? Take a look. Take a look at that. What kind of car is that? What do you think that is? What's up, Miss Nine? How are you? Again, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Transparency. What kind of car? I'm just curious what kind of car that is. No, I'm just saying it's so hard to make out what type of car that is. You know what I'm saying? Like that, can you make it out from that photo? Can you make out what that truly is from that photo? Unless Brian Kohlberger is black, Brian Kohlberger didn't walk out of that car. So don't worry about that. That's not what this is about. Point is that you're looking at surveillance cameras. And here's a surveillance camera. What do you think? Do you see that? And do you think, what do you think that is? You know, Mod Squad says 2017 Ford Fusion. Just kidding. Notre Dame 97 says that's my silver Chevy Impala. We got a Ford maybe. I'm not an expert, no idea. You know. I might be able to go get a stock image for you and let you know. It's a sedan, 5, 6, 07, 2023, all the way through those years. Heavily on surveillance cameras and 4 witnesses that eventually ended up at the crime scene that evening. Aliquippa, Pennsylvania is home to about 9,000 residents. And one of those residents, who was a part-time resident living on Jones Street, was the 911 caller the night of May 15th, 2020.
It is in Aliquippa. I wish I knew the name of this road, but when you get off 51, and you're going down Franklin, you make your first left and go right up the hill. Right up the hill. Immediate left off the Franklin Avenue when you came off 51. That is correct. Okay, what's going on there? It looks like a man got hit by a car. He's not in good shape. I don't even know if he's alive. Okay, you're right there in the sharp bend? Yes. Yes, there's blood all over the road. It's thick and clotting. I don't think he's alive. Are you still there? Yeah, I'm still here. We're getting everybody sent up there. Can I have your name, please? Joseph Richardson. Fire at 46 Gill Street, 246 Gill. He said the sharp bend by Gill Street Hill. A male down on the ground appears to be struck by a vehicle, unresponsive, severe bleeding. Copy, Connie.
Looks like he got hit by a car. What are you talking about? He has 6 gunshot wounds to the head. Six bullets in the head. Looks like he got hit by a car. Then you ain't standing over this man. I don't know what the hell. You said you were standing over him with a flashlight. 6 shots to the head versus getting hit by a car. What? Excuse me? I don't get it. I need help here. I don't understand how you say you get out of your car with a flashlight and you're standing over the body. When you call 911, you see the shots in someone's head. There are 6 of them, not 1, 6. Who has a flashlight in their pocket? A mini one that's connected to your keys that are in your ignition of your old shitty van? Get the fuck out of here. I'm hangry. Again, there was only 2 officers that responded from Aliquippa. That would be Bits, the 509 badge, and then Trello, the 508 badge. They were the only 2 dispatched. They arrived on scene. But when PSP and the first 2 arrivals for PSP arrive, let's take a look at their report of when they arrive, because that's what begins the crime scene log. The crime scene log. It should also be noted that the 911 caller stated that within 2 minutes, they were there really quick. Within 2 minutes, there was, somebody there, an officer there. Well, according to the reports, Officer Bitts was there within 30 seconds. Pennsylvania State Police, better known to everybody as PSP in Aliquippa, PSP has to take over all major investigations due to the fact that Aliquippa, Pennsylvania's police department, Aliquippa PD, has been suspended. They're under probation. They are not allowed to be doing any major crimes alone. That is something that happened before the Rachel Del Tondo case in 2018, and it has continued on. Aliquippa Police Department has always been under the scrutiny of corruption. And this case would be no different. Officer, or I should say Trooper, Trombetta would be the first PSP arriving officer on scene that evening, and he arrived with Trooper Smith. They were dispatched to the area of 246 Keel Street to assist with a deceased male in the roadway. Upon arrival on scene, and at that time it would have been 5:16 because it was after midnight, they said they arrived approximately at 12:06 a.m. Members of the Aliquippa Police Department advised that they had corridored off the crime scene with yellow crime scene tape. Members of the Aliquippa Police Department, members of the Aliquippa Fire Department, as well as 4 civilians were observed within the yellow tape. The deceased male in the roadway was observed to have multiple gunshot wounds. I also observed a burgundy Kia Sorento bearing Pennsylvania registration plates of this, and a silver Chrysler Town and Country minivan bearing the Pennsylvania temporary registration plates of this. They were both within the crime scene tape when they arrived. I then started a crime scene entry log. All persons within the crime scene tape were identified and logged on the crime scene entry log. I maintained the crime scene entry log throughout the entire course of this incident. And this would be the first PSP report done by Trombetta, as he and Smith were the first arriving officers at 12:06 a.m. This Pennsylvania State Police crime scene entry log would prove everything in this case as far as the first gathering of the evidence at Two Cousins convenience store on Franklin Avenue, as well as the names of everybody that went inside that yellow tape. After Sheldon's trial, I took a glance at that, and I noticed Andrew Galletti, police officer of Aliquippa, Pennsylvania Department, Aliquippa PD, 11:43, was inside and at the crime scene at 11:43. That is when Alex Bitts, as well as Trillo, that's the time that they say that they are arriving. The only problem is that Andrew Galletti was not dispatched. How was Andrew Galletti, police officer for Aliquippa Department, as well as Bitts and Trello, how is he now part of the PD that's inside that tape? And noting that he was there at 11:43 p.m. within 1 minute of Officer Bitts, at the same time as Trello, but within a minute or two of the 911 call. Further look into the crime scene log entry, it would become apparent that Police Chief... All right, this is super important here, is that you don't dispatch him, okay? By all accounts, he's not working, okay? He's not dispatched. He doesn't clock into his radio ever. How is this officer? He's never dispatched, okay? He's never dispatched. His name was filled out, but guess what? All of the logs, they don't have him. How is that possible? How is that possible? again, think about that. These logs that are computerized based off of it's CAD notes. It's everything is computerized based on when you hit buttons to say you're en route, you're there, you're clearing the scene, you're doing this, you're doing that. Okay. Was he in plain clothes? Was he in a police vehicle? Lang was there at the same time as Trombetta, both marking down that they were there at 12:06. And then Trooper Daniel Smith being marked down at first at 12:10 a.m., which got switched to 12:06. But Trooper Daniel Smith's name isn't till all the way at the bottom of page 1. And also, Trooper Daniel Smith had put down 0010, which is 12:10, only for that to be crossed off and added as 0006. Also, Chief Lane had 00, a weird 0, and then a weird 6. Okay, as it looks like it was written over again because it was a different number. And then Trooper Trombetta, when you look closely here, you're going to be able to see that he also wrote down 0010. For whatever reason, these were changed to 0006 with the big question mark of us, why would Trooper Daniel Smith's name be so far down if he arrived and was one of the first people of PSP? So it would be the first 4 witnesses as they have it. Then it would be there's 3 PD, Aliquippa Police Department. Then they have fire. Then they have the chief from Aliquippa Police Department. Then we start getting into the troopers from PSP, McGeary, Broader, Thomas, Miller. Crime scene entry log. Not only does when you come into the crime scene, but then when you leave the crime scene. As you were supposed to clock, when someone's in, when someone's out, to keep a very accurate log. Also, you are given when you start your crime scene log, you are also given instructions to keep the first responding officer checklist. And that would be things like note the date and time of arrival at scene, note weather and lighting conditions, begin crime scene entry log. Once inside the crime scene area, note description and license plate numbers of all vehicles in the crime scene. Identify all persons at the crime scene. Request that they stay. If possible, ensure they stay separated, until enough information relative to their knowledge of the incident is obtained. So again, what happened before PSP arrived? You have PSP arriving at 12:06 allegedly a.m., but you got 4 witnesses allegedly at that crime scene when Aliquippa police arrive, and that would have been 11:42. So over that 25 plus minutes, where were these witnesses? Were they separated? What did Aliquippa Police Department do before the arrival of PSP? It should be noted that Aliquippa Police Department was not responsible for a single report that went into the discovery of this case. So, advising him of the incident and assigned McGeary to respond to the scene. Located on scene upon Aliquippa Police Department's arrival were properly identified and interviewed. Brandon, Eugene, Dwayne, and Joseph. Those interviews revealed the following. Brandon discovered the body first, but then continued up the Keel Street Hill, where he would pick up two other individuals, Eugene and Dwayne. While Brandon was picking these individuals up, Joseph discovered the body and contacted 911. Brandon, Dwayne, and Eugene then returned to the scene where they observed Joseph, where he had advised them that he had contacted 911. The scene was processed by Trooper D Forensic Services Unit on May 16, 2020. During processing, the deceased male was identified as Tyreek Pugh with an address of 127 Orchard Street, Aliquippa. Via his Pennsylvania photo identification was located in his wallet. Through investigative efforts, it was determined that Sheldon Jeter did intentionally kill Tyreek Pugh. With the recommendation of the Beaver County District Attorney's Office, a criminal complaint was generated charging Sheldon Jeter with criminal homicide. Trooper Ryan Broader was a co-defendant on this charge. Please reference all the attached homicide action reports and other related documents to see how our investigation led to the arrest of Sheldon Jeter Jr. This would all have happened within 24 hours from the homicide that Sheldon Jeter Jr. was arrested.
Why were you coming to Aliquippa over this location?
Because I was actually going to go and chill, hang out, whatever you want to call it, with my buddies over there. The one is Preston. He's in the purple car, and the other one standing outside the police line is Gene. That's his father.
Okay, so Preston and Gene live over here?
Yes.
Okay.
They live, it's 103 Moreland Street.
Okay. How long have you known Preston and Gene?
Over 10 years.
Okay. So what time do you think you left your house approximately?
Maybe 11:15, somewhere around there, I would say.
Okay.
Because I left my house, stopped at Sheets and Rochester real quick, and then after that, I was on my way over here, took 51 over here, and I got off on the exit right before the hill here.
Right.
Started coming up the hill, saw a body laying on the ground, saw blood. I didn't call 911 right away. I was still worried that, who knows, maybe the shooter could still be in the area. I immediately went up to Preston and Gene's house.
Did you call them, or you just immediately, did you make any calls when you saw the body?
No.
Okay.
I immediately drove up to their house. They were happened to be on the porch. I told them, we got to call 911. There's a body, there's blood. We got in the car. We came back down here. The older gentleman that's in the van, he was already here and already called 911. That's what he told us when we got down here.
So when you said you first saw the body, I think not your exact words, but a roundabout way, you said you might have thought the shooter was still there. So did you know that the guy laying on the road was shot? Did it look like he was shot?
It looked like he was shot the way he was laying there. The amount of blood that was just rolling down the road.
Okay. Did you, when you were driving up the hill before you saw the body, did any car pass you going the opposite way?
No.
Was anybody walking going the opposite way?
No.
Did you hear anything like gunshots? Are you familiar with gunshots?
Yes.
Okay. Did you hear anything like that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I have to stop this. Wait, you drive past the body, you just assume, so the guy that doesn't get out of the vehicle assumes that he was shot. The guy that gets out of the vehicle with a flashlight over the body assumes he was hit by a car. Excuse me? And this would not be the first time that Mr. Brandon here decided to, he got cited before for leaving the scene of an accident, okay? This guy is notorious for just not calling the police when police need to be called. This is not his first rodeo. I've researched Mr. Brandon, and Mr. Brandon, this isn't your first rodeo, is it? You've done it before where the police, did they cite you for that? So again, you come to the body in the middle of the road. You slow down. You assume, oh my God, the shooter is probably still in the area. I need to get the hell out of here. Wait, why would you assume that there's a shooter in the area? Excuse me? Why wouldn't you assume that he was hit by a car? He's in the middle of the fucking road. You know, and you don't ever say that, yeah, well, when I was slowed down, I see his head. He had multiple gunshot wounds in his head. Okay. Like, give me a fucking break. Like, this is pathetic that you can't destroy this shit on cross-examination of these witnesses. This is embarrassing.
Okay. So when you drive, see the body, you drive up to Gene and Preston's house. Do you get out of the car and walk up to the porch, or do you yell from your car, hey?
I got out of the car, ran up onto the porch. I told him, there's a body, there's blood. We got to call the police.
Okay. So.
And do you think they called the police? No. Nobody called the police. There's a body, there's blood. We got to get back down there. Wait, but you just left because you're a scared ass. But now you're going to bring your friend and his dad down to where you were just scared and you left because there was a shooter possibly still in the area. You're going to bring them down there. But yet you don't call the police as you're driving away. And neither does Preston or Gene. Do they get their phones out to call 911? And it wasn't pitch black because his body was right under a street light. Jury, is this what y'all heard?
How long do you think after you initially see the body until you come back? Is
Not even 2 minutes.
Not even 2 minutes? Okay.
When you first pulled up and saw the body, did you stop and get out, or did you stay in the vehicle?
I stayed in the vehicle. I didn't get out at all.
Did you put your window down or anything to look out? Or
I had the windows down because I was, driving down the highway, getting some, actual air from outside. But, coming up and seeing this, when I, drove up the street, like I was saying, to go tell them we had to call the police, right. I was like, nope, I'm putting the windows up.
Have you ever seen this gentleman before?
No.
How often do you come over here to Preston and Gene's house?
I actually come over here very often.
Okay. And this is the route you always take?
Mm-hmm. This road, always.
Okay. When you're getting off the exit to come up the hill, did you see any cars making a right on the 51 like they're going to go towards Ambridge?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Did you see anybody standing out or along the road or out on the porch down there or anything like that?
Down there at the bottom of the hill?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
The only cars and only people that were standing down there were people actually on the main street of Aliquippa.
Franklin there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I only saw those cars there because they're always there, and I saw them driving to the exit here.
Do you remember any of those cars? Whether it be colors, shapes, anything like that?
No. They're just, they're there often, right there on the main road, Franklin.
Yeah.
Like right where that first building is on your left.
Mm-hmm.
Those cars are always there.
Did you see anybody standing around or driving those cars? Was anybody in the car? Those cars?
I don't know if anybody was in the cars. They were a little too far away to see through the windows, but
okay.
Yeah, those are the only cars or people I saw right there on the main drag. I mean, as far as coming up the hill here to where I saw the body, no, there was no.
After Brandon Wexler was interviewed, next up was witness number 3, which was Gene.
Portland?
How long have you lived there?
About 5-6 years.
Okay. So tonight, or I know it's tomorrow technically,
right.
But last night, were you at home?
Yes.
Okay. So kind of walk me through what happens.
Okay. Now, my son and I just got back from Sharon, PA.
Okay.
It was about 11:30, and my wife had eaten dinner, got in her shower, and was going to bed.
Okay.
My son and I stepped out on the porch, and it was, ballpark figure around midnight, and we heard multiple shots. I mean, it sounded like about 10 of them.
Could you sense like what direction they were coming from, or?
Well, we knew it was coming from this direction, but to me it sounded pretty muffled. Okay, I've been in the military, and I fired a lot of guns.
Right.
I don't know if somebody used a suppressor, and I do know that there is somebody in the neighborhood that does have one.
Who's that?
Well, I don't want to give the name because I don't want to end up like that guy.
Yeah, I understand that, but I mean,
I will say he lives up here on Shaw Street. Okay, I'll give you his first name. That's all I know, and his name is Mike. I even have a picture of the weapon that...
is Mike a white or black guy?
He's a black guy. I was drinking vodka with him, and he showed me this gun.
You weren't drinking vodka with him tonight, were you?
No,
okay.
No.
Containing car 2, old radio.
But wrong one. And to me, this is what it sounded like.
How old do you think Mike is?
Oh, he's got to be in his 30s or 40s. He's a big guy. And to me, that's what it sounded like.
And Mike sent you this picture? Or?
I was sitting there with him. As you could see, we were drinking. And he handed it to me, let me look at it, and I just took a picture of it. This was a week ago.
All right. If we were to provide you a phone number, would you send that to us?
Yes, I would.
All right. We'll get to that. We'll put a pin in that and come back to that.
They never interviewed Mike. What? Holy shit. You got to be shitting me. They never interviewed Mike after this guy says, I don't want to end up like that guy. Gives him a picture of the gun that has a suppressor on it, and the cops never interview this Mike guy. You got to be kidding me. Is that due diligence? This is flat out insanity.
Later. So you said about midnight you heard multiple shots. They kind of sounded muffled. What happened after that?
Well, about 2 minutes later, he come flying up the road. Well,
right there, he says about 2 minutes later, he comes flying up the road. And then he says, well, I mean, because you have to pay attention. Like, okay, if you're actually going to give like true and accurate things, he says, maybe it was like 10 minutes,
Actually, about 10 minutes later, he come flying up the road, and he's telling us, call 911. There's a dead body in the road down here.
Would you say he? I know we all
Brandon.
know Brandon.
Brandon,
Okay.
yes. And I said, okay, Brandon, let's go down and see what's going on, see if this guy actually is dead. And sure enough, we pull up, and I could see the hole in the guy's forehead. I knew he was gone.
Have you ever seen that guy before?
I'm going to tell you, he looks very familiar. He looks like a guy that used to live up.
Wait a second. What? The 911 caller said that he blocked, if anybody from being able to come down. Nobody came by the body, not even those people. What the fuck is going on here? Okay. What is truly happening? Nobody came close to the body. I thought it was because he parked his van to prevent anybody coming, and then nobody came past like his van.
Up here on Keel Street, and we knew him by the name of Ronnie.
And so he thinks the victim looks like a guy named Ronnie.
And he was a drug dealer.
Jesus.
How long ago did he stop living up here?
About a little over a year ago, him and his wife got into it, and I think she kicked him out. She moved out, and he moved down here somewhere. But I haven't seen him for a while. But like I said, that looks just like him.
So when you guys come down the hill here.
This gentleman was already stopped there.
The guy in the van.
Yes.
Do you guys get out of the car and
Yes.
go walk over to the body?
I walked over to the body. I didn't touch anything.
Okay.
I looked over and I seen that he had a hole in his forehead, and I could see it in the back of his head where all the blood was draining.
Mm-hmm.
That it was a done deal. There's nothing I could do for him.
Did you or your son call 911? Or
we were going to call, but the man in the van already said that he had called 911.
Okay.
So we just stayed there.
Okay. Well, if we could backtrack just a little bit, after you hear the shots, do you hear any like tires screeching or anything like that? Anybody yelling? Anything?
No.
Okay.
We heard the multiple shots, and that was it. And my son and I both were like, my son looked at me and goes, "Did you hear that?" And I said, "Yeah, I heard that. It was pretty muffled, but I heard that." And we hear shots through here all the time.
Yeah.
So, it didn't really surprise me. I mean, about a week ago, my neighbor from across the street said that he heard somebody let off what sounded like an Uzi back here. So,
wait a second. You got the 911 guy. He says, "Oh my God, people just walk around. You can hear a pin drop. You can hear it's so quiet. Everybody's walking around, it's just, it's so quiet." And then this guy's like, "I've lived here and, last week, my neighbor said it sounded like somebody set off an Uzi back here." And I'm going to agree with this gentleman speaking. Like, there's shit going on all the time. Like, this is crazy. Okay. You have two guys that are living up in the same area, literally just like houses from each other, describing two completely different scenes. Okay. Of just like what goes on. And come to find out, this Joe Richardson guy, he, is from New York. You heard him talk about this part-time crap. He works, it's all going to come out. This is just wild.
Right. I understand. Do you know of anybody that has cameras or surveillance video along this road here? Do you know anybody that lives on this road?
I don't know anybody that lives on this road, but I do know that somebody owned this property here on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And they put all that dirt there because people were constantly dumping mattresses and everything over there. So he may have cameras up there. I do not know, whoever owns it.
So are you talking about when you go around?
As you go around the bend off to the right here,
yeah,
you'll see a big berm of dirt right there. That whoever owned this property had that dump there. So it stopped people from dumping garbage back there.
Okay.
And you don't know who actually owns it?
No.
What about as you're coming up the hill there's a house that's got like basically it's painted on the garage. It says no parking. It's like a red brick house right there down at the bottom of the hill. Do you know who that is?
I don't know who that is.
Okay.
I've often suspected that they had something to do with the church that's right down here. So
okay. So just to recap,
let's
the dead
recap.
gentleman
Let's recap this.
appears to be Ronnie, somebody who you knew as Ronnie, but you're not sure.
Not positive, but he looks almost like him.
And he used to live up on Keel Street.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, who lives on Shaw Street, black male in his 30s or 40s, has that gun with a suppressor on it.
Yes.
Did you see Mike at all tonight?
No. I saw him earlier today. He was in his Jeep that he usually parks up there, him and his wife. He just did a bunch of renovation work and everything up there on his house there on Shaw Street. You can't miss it. I mean, he's got this really nice Jeep sitting there. But
is it like a Jeep Grand Cherokee or like a Jeep Wrangler?
Kind of like a Wrangler, but it looks like a Mad Spider almost. It's one of the newer models.
Okay. What color is it?
It's black.
Anything else distinctive? Does it have like custom wheels or sticker?
Yeah, it's got custom tires on it, custom wheels.
Okay, why are you asking all these questions? It's not like you're going to go talk to Mike. Come on, bro. Like, this is just mind-boggling to me.
Got some funky lights on the front of it that super bright, But other than that,
Like a light bar or just like
no,
big
the
floodlight?
headlights itself. I mean, they're just weird.
Other than his wife, does he live with? Does he have any kids? Does he live with anybody
No.
else?
No,
Okay.
just his wife.
You may have answered this, but where is he living at?
He lives up here on Shaw Street. I don't know the exact address, but you can't miss it. I mean, you can see where he's done a bunch of renovation work on his porch, and he put a brand new retaining wall in the front.
Does Mike work anywhere? Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of.
So how's he getting all that money to do all that renovation?
Exactly. It's been rumored that he's one of the biggest drug dealers in this area.
What?
So I don't cross him.
Stop.
So you know his last name?
Oh,
Or you
no.
just don't want-
Oh, stop.
I don't know his last name.
Okay.
Stop.
Do you know his wife's name?
So when you leave your house, can you see his house
Mhm.
from your? Did you see the Jeep out in front?
No, I didn't see the Jeep out front.
Is that the only cars they have?
He's got a Jeep. His wife drives a white vehicle, and he's got
The white vehicle was
really
there that
nice
night.
blue street glide, Harley Davidson customized street glide.
Her white vehicle, is it an SUV too, or is it a
No,
car?
it's a regular car.
You know what? Like, is it a Chevy, Ford, Dodge?
I think it's a Dodge, but I'm not sure.
Boom.
Okay.
Do you have Mike's phone number?
No, I don't associate with him much. Like I said, I sat and drank with him that one night, and that's about it. We talk on the street every now and then and say, hey, how you doing? You know,
I think
that's
Mike's
about as
cool.
far as it goes.
Okay.
I think Mike's cool.
Do you know who he associates with? Or who would know him a little bit better?
I know he associates with my neighbor who got busted a year ago. They raided his house because he was selling drugs.
Who's that?
His name is Chris. I don't know his last name, but he lives right next door to me. He's at 105 Moreland.
Oh, shit.
Okay. So when you went over that one time to Mike's house, what did you guys talk about? Was it just BSing?
Just BSing. Sitting there drinking vodka, talking about women, talking about, yeah, I know it's funny because his wife was there too. She wasn't too happy about it. But, just everyday stuff. And then he pulled that out and he showed it to me. I was like, oh, that's cool. He pulled the clip out and handed it to me.
Jesus!
I took a couple pictures of it.
All right.
If you could,
You can just forward that.
Unset Secrets, Advocating in Aliquippa, Season 3, sponsoring. Okay. Wow. So this is a documentary that I've been putting together, and it's pretty much complete, but I've only done a couple episodes, and this is advocating for Sheldon Jeter Jr. and got the best news. All the stuff that is that has happened over the past 2 years. Would I have liked for that not to happen? Sure, but Sheldon gets his evidentiary hearing because that's what should happen. That's the law. That's what's just. That's what's, I want the right person or persons that killed Rachel Altondo. I want the right person or persons that's killed Tyreek Pugh. But my advocating started with Sheldon Jeter Jr. and he didn't kill Tyreek Pugh, and he didn't kill Rachel Altondo, and trying to blame this kid and thinking that your problems in Aliquippa are going to go away or your problems in Beaver are going to go away. They're not. I just pray that I think there are some really good cops that are involved in PSP. And so therefore, I just pray that those really good cops step up and take a look at this case again. Go back to the drawing board. To hear that an Aliquippa cop, Alex Bitts, got into Joe Richardson's van and moved it out of the crime scene, and then just only hours later got into Sheldon Jeter Jr.'s SUV and drove away in that car. I mean, that's just wild. His SUV should have never been. It should have been inadmissible. I've never heard of such a crazy thing in my life. That vehicle should have been towed away, regardless if the family just said you can just take it, or if a search warrant, whatever, you just follow protocol. And he was arrested. Sheldon was arrested in less than 24 hours of this homicide happening. And these police officers didn't even interview people. Like Sheldon was arrested before even the investigation started. It was that wild, but it was needed because you needed to isolate Sheldon, in my opinion. And that way people couldn't talk to anybody because of what truly, truly happened that night. And I think Tyreek P was double-crossed. I think Tyreek P was double-crossed, and he was used because of his identification card having the same address that Sheldon had. It gave law enforcement a beeline to go give a death notice and be able to, quote-unquote, uncover Sheldon's SUV that they allegedly saw on a camera that they never even looked at that night. And then being able to interview, and it's just wild. This is just really, really sad. The truth is really, really sad. And I just continue to pray that I know that there's good officers, and I pray that they do the right thing. I pray that the other agencies involved do the right thing. And I'm happy that the judges and the panel did the right thing. Sheldon is owed that evidentiary hearing. And I think that once that happens, I believe that Sheldon Jeter Jr. will get another trial. So if you want to know what Fight for a Family is all about, this is what Fight for a Family is all about. Thank you for your time. See you guys soon.